I think maybe today one important thing is we need to prepare for next week. So I'm not sure. Uh, I think you in the first 6 week, you also have a final presentation. I think the time will be the same. For example, when I discussed with Steve Lin, Dr. Steve Lin is he assumes we maybe together maybe to do the presentation. It's around 10 to 12, 10 to 15 minutes for the presentation, followed by 5 minutes question time. So that's a requirement. I'm not sure this is the same with your first 6 week presentation. How about Daniel? Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Stephen.
Yeah. So have you attended the first 6 week? There's a final presentation.
Yes, I have.
So how long does it take? Do you still remember?
I'm pretty sure we did it. I think it was 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. In that case, I already write marking criteria, and I will discuss with you after today's lecture. And then I think we need to focus on the presentation for next week. So this is probably we will together with another group, with Steve Lin group, or even Nam will attend. Oh, some group they said, for example, it's 8 to 10 minutes. I think maybe we put 10 to 15 minutes will be consistent with other group. So you can present at 10 minutes, and that means like maybe they will ask you a little bit more questions, because the thing is for our for this group we have do not have many groups, so they have enough time to do the presentation. So I think probably a little bit longer, to 10 to 15 minutes, because I discussed with Steve Lin, and he also suggests like this. But we can discuss during the group time. So thank you for all attended the meeting, and so today is really important, because for the first several weeks we get the preliminary knowledge. So today and also get the data. So today we will see like the final stage is how to do all the, for example, fall detection, how to classify this fall and non-fall, and for exercise monitoring, how to tell this is running, or this is walking, or this is standing. So this is a several most important class for these subjects. So I think you can concentrate. So before this class, I sent you an email, I think last Friday or last Sunday or Saturday or last Friday. I cannot remember exactly. And I asked you to read some material. There's, for example, I put here like, first is we need to watch a video. So this video is mainly talking about some basic idea, basic concept. If you do classification, how to tell this classification performance is good or bad. So, and they mainly discuss about ROC curve and also the confusion matrix. I know that the confusion matrix probably is easier to understand, and for the ROC curve is little maybe have a little difficulty, especially if you consider about multi-class classification. So in these subjects, because we are not teaching you mainly for classification, maybe you only consider about every time you only consider about binary classification. So for example, you falling and non-falling, this of course is a binary. So either is a falling or non-falling. So you can use label 0 and 1 to tell. For the access monitoring, maybe you need multi-class, but you can use 2 times of binary classification if you want. but you can also directly use a multi-class. For example, you have 0 for standing, 1 for walking, and uh, and 2 for running. So this is the email I showed you. Maybe I forgot to share my screen. So I share my screen. So I share my screen. So first I read because the sorry. So we look at that email. So you can see. So this is a video. How many students have watched this video? And this video is teaching about how to use classification learner. This there's a very important tools. So you know, like this studio will also teach you how to use MATLAB. So in MATLAB, there's one very convenient tools called app, called app. You can directly use app to do a lot of things, very powerful. So if you look at MATLAB, you can go to the app. You can see there's lots of buttons here. You can see home and plot and app. App is lots of useful tools. They are very easy to use, especially for beginner. So you don't need to even know how to program in MATLAB. You only need to know some very basic idea that will be enough. So we look at one of the things we are very interested. So for filtering, of course, you also can have lots of, for example, filter. So you can have filter design and everything you have. But today we want to use classification. So you just type classification. You can see there's a classification learner is here. So this is machine learning and deep learning classification. So you can use this one, just classification learner. You just click, yeah. So there's lots of other app like optimization, curve fitting. So you can just very easily use these things. So how many group have already learned this classification learner? Do you need me to give an example for this one? My teaching plan is like I give you an example first for this classification learner example, and then based on this example, we discuss about confusion matrix and also ROC curve. So this is give you a good understanding of classification. So if you're talking about classification, because if you're using you are a biomedical engineer in the future, and then you developed, for example, a machine to detect some diseases. So you need to know what's your performance of this machine. So normally they use, for example, you detect one diseases, is what's the, for example, true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative. So this kind of concept you need to know. So, and also what's the accuracy. So I will today I will base on the confusion matrix to give you a very brief explanation. And also there's a very good video I put in the I put here. Uh, Actually, it's oh, this video I think I didn't put the video, but it's here. So this is a very good video. just I'm not sure you read this, watching this video or not. So this is a very intuitive.
Get a real-time bird's-eye view of your projects. Create project plans in one click. See the big picture across.
Wait till you see the ROC and the AUC. They're cool, yeah, StatQuest. Hello, I'm Josh Starmer, and also, the example I give in this StatQuest is.
So this is a very good video.
Now let's
taught
fit a
you how to
One way to
draw
classify
ROC
mice is to set a
curve.
threshold at 0.5.
And because maybe we start
and
from
classify
example
all mice
first.
with the probability of being obese greater than 0.5.
So we start from example first, and then we discuss. Also in the email, I have two very important document you can read. So this is give you a very brief introduction of confusion matrix and ROC curve. I will back after I use my classification learner, and then I will discuss with you how to understand confusion matrix and ROC curve. So we look at we already opened the classification learner. So this one is very so it's too big. I make it smaller. So this is a classification learner window. So you can, for example, you have a new session, you want to do a classification. So first, you need to input the data. So how do you input the data? You just press new session, and you can from workspace or you from a file. So file, maybe you already save a file when you do the use IMU to collect data, and then you can generate a data file, and then you can read data from the file directly. So you can do something like this. You can search, you can get the file. But for me, I didn't. I haven't used in the file. So the easiest way, maybe I generate some data in the workspace. You know, workspace is just here. So you can see workspace. All the data is here. So I have data 1, data 2, data 3. So look at my data 1, data 2, and data 3. So I use my hand to generate. So data 1 is something like this. Data 2. Probably I use I generate the data 1 and the data 2. I just directly show you what's the value. Data 1. So you just click on data 1. So data 1 is only you can see you can consider this is a weight of a person. So if it's 80 kilo and it's 180 centimeter, that's the first person. And this is actually I assume this label is 1. So it's male. So weight is 60 and height is 170. It's also a male, and also 75 and 180. Of course you can generate more data. For example, you can ask every your classmates of their. For example, you first calculate the for male, and you ask each male student about their height and the weight, and then you can generate a data set. But for you do, for example, you are doing fall detection. You have one, for example, feature is you measure the peak acceleration, and then you can put one column is peak acceleration, another column, for example, you also care about the minimal acceleration, and then you have maximum and minimal acceleration for two. You can have two column, and then that's the two features. But here we have used one is weight, another is height, and we want to know the person is a female or male. So we similarly we have data data 2, like this. This is for female. So female is 40 kilogram and 160 centimeter. So you have also this another one is I mean it's testing we use for testing. I will tell you sometimes you need have a training and a testing. So training means like you have a lot of data, right? And then you can just like use this data to build a model. But in the future, you basically you want to use this model. So you cannot say like I can classify all existing data. That's not good enough, right? You need to do something like in the future you measure another one, you use your model to still classify correctly. So this is called testing. So normally if you have a good training result, not necessarily you get a good testing result. You may be heard about overfitting. Is you just like because your data cannot cover all the cases, so you just shouldn't too your model shouldn't be too complex. So if too complex, it will be overfit. So this is something maybe in the future, but today I don't want to discuss the too deep. But anyway, we use this one. We generate data to use. So in that case, we generate one. So we already have the data. So we already have the data. So we have in that case, I generate another data. Is called for example, I have a data one. Data one, maybe I put a testing data, testing, training, I generate a training data, and then I put so first I generate training data is we already have data one and data two, right? Data one and data two. We have data one and data two. So this is I just get the training data. We both have a female and a male student, and then we need to generate a label as well. Label. We label the data. If we have a label, we need to I mean we have a need to give an extra column. This is for the maybe so I think is we maybe and we need to generate another we generate a label. Label is you know the first three is female, right? We maybe use one because they have three female, three male and three female. You can give in any order, but if you should be corresponding because the first three is a male and the second the other three is female. So in that, sorry, we put 0 maybe. You can put 0 minus, but maybe put 0 in most cases. So in that case, I generate another column, so I need to transpose, and then this is a label, and then we can generate the testing the training data, and equals to with label, right? And with the train, I think is I use training, and then this one is label. So we don't have training. So I use the capital, sorry. So yeah, sorry, I should use capital. So this is the train the data, right? Then our data set is built. So for you, you also do a similar thing. For example, you know the first three or first four is falling, and the rest is non-falling, and then you use 1 and 0 to do a label. So this you generate the data, the training data already. But I want to emphasize, because for this one you generate data is very easy. So I think maybe you need a balance between fall and non-fall, or between walking and running. So this called even the balance of the data. Of course, in the real situation, the fall information is much less than non-fall. So in that case, it's called imbalanced data. So we need to do some strategy to balance, to make it balance, or to get rid of this kind of bias. But we actually in the ROC curve and in the confusion matrix, later I will discuss why we need to think about the balance of data. So now we just like assume we get this kind of data set we want to training, and then we use because I already put this trend in the data in the workspace. So we open one. So we want to have a new from workspace, right? So they will let you to select input, and then you select. So because we have the trend data already, so here, so right, you find the, so you can select anyone you want to use, but this one is we just input, and then they will tell you they use first two columns. They are very smart. They can see this 0 and 1 as a label, as a response. So they also call the label as response. So, and also you can see this input is one column, and the second column is another input. So this is we input the data is already, and then we need to do the cross validation. Sometimes it's like this. You cannot use all of them. The data is training, and then you don't have a test result called validation result. So basically, they are training now. They use like some use kind of use as training, and some as validation. They not called test, for validation. So if you can improve the validation accuracy, and then your method will be good. Because if you all use them training, and then you can get if you have a complex model enough, you always can get 100% accuracy. So now we start to do one training to see what I can do, what I can get. So first I need to select what method I use. So you just click here. So you can see there's a fun tree, but there's lots of, so this is the data I input. So the right one is I think is 1. So the right one you can see is 1. So it's here. So red one is 1. So the blue one is 0. So this stands for male data. the blue one is female data. And then we want to find for example, if linear classification, we want to find a linear a straight line to separate this two class, you see, male and female. But if you use nonlinear classification, so they can find a curve to separate the data. Because this tool, maybe it's linear is good enough, but I will try. So they have so many methods. So I try, maybe I can simply try all of them, but maybe I try for example, linear, maybe we use SVM, a linear SVM to do a training to see what we can get. So we train. So this take a little bit of time. Between this time, I look at, maybe I go to here. So you can see, here is have a confusion matrix. I'm not sure you read this one. So I will use the example to discuss about this document. So you can see this have a classification. So this is actual class. So you know this male or female. So you have 0, 1, right? And then you have predicted, use your model, also have 0 and 1. So if the actual is 0, that means, for example, it's female, and you correctly identify this female, and then this called is the A is called correct negative. So this one is called true negative. So in that case, this is true negative is here. So here, so we will continue later about this one. So we look at the result. So if they get 83.3 accuracy, so it's a bit. So there's 1 point is not correct, right? You can see this 1 point not correct. But if we want to see why they got this one, you look at there's lots of plot. So this plot can have lots of. This first is this scatter plot is the current one, and also you can change it to, for example, confusion matrix. So this is a confusion matrix. So here you have that different result. So you can first is number of observation is they put all of them. So you can see this is true class. This is a prediction, the predicted class. You look at this is actual, this predicted. So this corresponding with that one. So MATLAB is already build the confusion matrix already. So you need to know is how to explain the confusion matrix. For example, here have a true positive rate, false negative rate. They already and also have a positive predict value and false discovery rate. So this have a lot of things. But we first look at for this one, how to calculate the accuracy is 83.3. Actually, you have this 3 and this 2 is correct identified. So the 3 is that means you can see this 3 actually is correctly identified. This 2 is also correctly identified. So only this one is wrong. So in that case, how many point you have do how many judgment you have 6 6 times of classification, but you corrected how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. In that case, your accuracy is 5/6. So this is very easy to understand. So based on this one, we can easily calculate. If we go to confusion matrix, we can easily calculate accuracy, and also true positive and the true negative. So this is true. This is true positive. The true negative. So this is a if you look at corresponding to this figure. So, but they put a negative up. Yeah, so negative, positive, yeah, top, positive, down. They're consistent. So you can directly directly use that document to corresponding to your to the confusion matrix you just achieved. So you, for example, if I ask you what's the false positive, what's the true negative rate, what's the false negative rate, and what's the precision, probably we will not ask you precision, but at least you know this one. And also you need to know ROC curve or ROC graph. So here they have confusion matrix. Based on confusion matrix, and then you can draw the ROC curve. Basically, you know, like there's a threshold. Before I teach, I ask you to just consider about if you only use one feature to do the classification. For example, in this problem, maybe you only use weight to do a classification. But this is not very accurate. Maybe some female student and the male student, you just based on their weight, you cannot tell. It's difficult. Even you use their height and weight, maybe you still have error. So it's but you have in the future maybe you have other lots of feature to tell, and then you will get 100% accuracy maybe. So you can increase accuracy. But before I ask you to only, because we are not fully teach you classification, you only use one feature, and then you only need to use one. For example, for the weight, you only find the threshold. For example, over 60, you just simply think this is a over 60 or over 70 kilo. This is a female. Sorry, it's male, and less than 70 kilo is a female. But this is not always true. So we also can use height. So example, height, if you are taller, and then they think, and also maybe you use BMI or other things. Uh, uh, but this maybe is not a very good example. But this is something when you do classification, and then but if you change the threshold, for example, you want to increase the sensitivity, you detect a male student, right? And if you put the sensitivity, the threshold is 0. That means you think everyone is a male, and then you will have no your measurement will be very sensitive. So anyone you sensitive said this is a you want to detect a male student, and then everyone you said is male, and then you will have no your sensitivity is 100, so you get 1 in this curve is here. But you also need to consider about you sometimes tell the wrong thing, because you also think about specificity. So that means some student actually is female, you also tell it is male. So this is not good. And then we need this rate. We want to this rate as small as possible. So in that case, if you got 0, for example, you accurate 100% accurate, that means you don't have that error, and then you will get the point is close to here, close to this point, and then you will get the best classification, and then you can increase the threshold to draw some not ideal case, and you can draw some different shape. But you will see the area under this curve, the bigger the better. That means your classifier is better. So if you want because I don't have enough time so today, but if you have a time, I think you watch the video. That's a very good video I put here. So the ROC curve, they not only just discuss about 2 class, they can discuss about 3 class as well. Now we go back to here. So here you also can draw a ROC curve, because draw ROC curve use hand is quite complex, but we can use this one, this ROC curve. You can see this one is they select this point. They have the threshold. So this called area under curve. So the AUC, the bigger the better. So this one is they get something. It's not 100 great. So if you get a better one, maybe you have some point here. In that case, maybe we find the 100% accurate classifier. We train all the data. For example, we train maybe quadratic or cubic SVM. This is nonlinear classification method. We see also 83.3. Maybe we need to try all of them to find some. Can we find the 100% accurate? So this is very low. You can see this is a very low accuracy. So use 3 for this one is very low. So we cannot use this one. We find some. Unfortunately, the highest one is 83.3. So in that case, I reduce 1 point. Maybe the point is maybe the data is not that good. So that means we have some data we look at which one we want to delete. Probably we delete this value and maybe make it easy to classify. So, but this is not good. But I delete this one to make it. This is around 170. So in that case, I delete one data. But we need to retry. I think they have some. You can feature selection. Maybe you select some feature, we get 100% accuracy. Maybe we select SVM one. So for example, we only based on the second column is weight. We only based on the first column for the classification. Maybe this one is also difficult to maybe second. I think from the second column we do the classification. Now we maybe can get 100%, but this one will be only one dimension. So maybe we do this one. We see classification. We use even just linear classifier. We train. So probably we need to go to start like this one. If we select the feature, select second feature. This time we select maybe just one dimension, or we just maybe simply delete one data. So in that case, we so this a little bit this software change the setting a little bit, but it's actually if you have time, you can still based on this one, you can select different feature, and then you can calculate the classification again. So here I put a very simple one to show you 100% accuracy case. So in that case, we generate another data set. We just like call the trend as well. We only pick up the first several. We only select from this one is a trend. We pick up the first, the second two column. So it's from here and one, so 2 and 3. So this is a new it's one dimension training. So again, I use a classification trainer again. So this time I just want to get 100% accuracy and to show you. So we input the data again. So we okay. So we call the train, right? This is the one we just put, and then we start session. So this time you can see this is all the weight height. So this one if it's in the linearly, this is better, right? So in that case, we look at with training. This time I think we can get 100% accuracy to see whether we can get. So this one is only 1. So not lucky. So maybe next time I find the 100% accuracy one. So but anyway, so you based on this classification learner, you already have a, for example, you have a 2-feature classification already, but you also use only just one. This one is very low accuracy. You can see this is only 60 16.7. So accuracy is only 1 accurate. So I mean maybe the classifier, the parameter, maybe they're not well tuned. But so this is the classification learner, and you need to, based on this one, to understand both curve. This curve you can see is not good because the area here. So that means this classifier, no matter you select which threshold, you cannot get higher classification accuracy. So this one is the ROC curve. The area is very small, so this is not good. You select maybe this one is better. So this one is a 50% accuracy. You can see a little better. The confusion matrix is the accuracy is 50%, and the logistic then is maybe a more better than this one. So the area is bigger as well than the previous one. So in that case, we don't have 100% one. So it's quite unfortunate. This one maybe is the highest one. The assembly, this use several methods. They can get a little bit better one. Not the best. I think currently the best one. Only one mistake. So it have no full 100% accuracy. This is we use classification learner. If you haven't learned anything about classification, because you have so many methods integrated, even they have assembly, but use all kind of method. So that's if you are, because you are starting to learn classification. So I strongly recommend you from here, starting from here. So because we cannot get 100% accuracy, I think about use another SVM. I use we can tune parameter ourselves. For example, we go to here. We directly find some algorithm. I think I already developed some algorithm. We close this one. Close this one. Are you okay with classification learner? Because I put the video is very in detailed. I will also put this one in the starting in the Google Drive to share with you. But anyway, I hope after today you at least can use classification learner and explain the performance, and you know how to explain the confusion matrix. What's the accuracy, performance, the accuracy? What's the ROC curve looks like? That's I think is good enough. But for this one, I want to get 100% accuracy. I still use the data. We use the similar data here. Data one, you see data one, and I based on data one, data two, right? This time I can select any method I want. For example, SVM. SVM, we can use linear SVM and nonlinear SVM. First, I give you some example. This is a complex is a real example. If we go this way, for example, we go to this one. You can also use some command, not just use the app. You can assume you know nothing. You still can do classification. But for sometimes if you want to learn deeply, you maybe select one of the methods. For example, support vector machine. I can find a video as well to explain support vector machine, but we don't have enough time. Today we want to concentrate on the presentation. So this one take a little time. So for this one, that's your I explain each one by each. So this is the data I actually generated. So I generated data. So I want to separate the red one and the blue one, right? So this is for example, you can think about this is a height, this is a weight, so something like this. But maybe height weight cannot generate something like this. But assume this data you want to separate. If you use a linear method, you can see you cannot separate accurately. You find this is the best one. They get the best accuracy. But you can see still have lots of error. But the good thing is you can use nonlinear classifier. For example, this one is SVM, and then you can use different parameters. This is use this have lots of because they have a the sensitivity range is small, so you have lots of support vectors. So that means this is the round one called support vector. So support vector will tell you how complex of your classifier. So if you want to describe the this classifier, actually it's a boundary, right? You want to classify the boundary. You need so many parameters that your model is very complex. So you may be a little overfit, but for the if you use these parameters, so your boundary looks not that complex. So you only need several support vector to describe. Now we look at our real situation, like just like this one. Is the one is for our classification. So this one is this is the data, original data, right? Basically for us, we want to find the for example, if linear classification, we want to find the linear value like this, right? So a straight line. So they can 100% separate, 100 separate this data. They only use 2 support point to describe this straight line. You can straight line have a maximum margin. So you see, but you can see I get 100%, not necessarily like say this is good, because in the classification learner we use both validation and the classification. We not use all the data for training. So here we use all the data for training. We can, if our model is complex enough, we always can get 100% accuracy. So this is a different concept. But here I just use this example to tell what's the classification they want to do. They want to find a classifier. What's a classifier? Classifier is just like a hyperplane, or if for the 2D is a straight line, or a curve for 2D. But for high dimension is a hyperplane. It's a or hyper surface, hyperplane, something. So, but we need to find this one. So this linear one is easy to describe, and also I find the nonlinear one for this one. For example, this one is we can already always guarantee 100% accuracy. So this is overfit. So you use a curve. This curve very complex curve, and even you have more any data, they still can. If you complex enough, you still can separate, but not 100%. But this is most case, and so this one you can see they also use curve. It's nonlinear, but they use different parameters to make this curve more smooth. It's a little bit simple. So in that case, this classification maybe have a better, if you have new data, maybe better than this one. Because this one, of course, you can see, if you have new data, this one will not very good, because maybe some point here is also female, but it will consider as male. Because even here, you can see here, it also consider as, here they consider as female, male, actually it could be female. So this one is much better. So this is called test accuracy will be better. I don't want to discuss too much, but this is all for today's classification. As we don't have enough time, we look at I prepared the presentation, talking about presentation, and I will discuss with you group by group about how to present, how to train the learner, train the classifier. I assume like you maybe get the data already, and then today I will go to each group at least 20 minutes to discuss the classification. Now we look at, for example, I think. So this week 12 presentation. I think you may see similar things in the first 6 weeks. So this is presentation will be 10 to 15 minutes plus 5 minutes question and answer time. So we have you need to follow the procedure described in the project description to complete the project. Actually, the description I already sent it to you. I think this is the fault detection one. So you need to, for example, demonstrate the understanding. For example, this general procedure, you need to collect the data and also transmit data to the computer, and also monitor signal and do the simple processing and the fault detection analysis, and show alarm when fault detected. So so the show alarm, maybe I don't need you don't need to be real time, but if you can do real time, it's also okay. Maybe you can ask Lee, Li Wang. He will teach you about if you want to do real time, but it's not essential. And also you need to in the one you need to show your understanding of IMU, and also understand the basic knowledge of biomedical signal processing, and also build an algorithm for fault detection. This algorithm you can base on just a classification learner. Sorry, I forgot to a very important thing. Just classified, we need to know the result as well. So so maybe I need to do it again. So we need to generate a data. So this is the data, and then we put the label as well, and then we need to so this is the data trend, and then I still use classification learner, but I will do this one very quick this time. For example, we train all of the data, for example, linear, and we train. So this one, we got the accuracy. So if you are satisfied with this trend, the things, you can export this model. For example, this is export. This can export a lot of things. You can export the plot. You can export the general function. And you can also export this model. This is easy for you. So you just like select this one, export model. And then you can define the model. For example, the name, you have the model 1. So you simply use model 1. And then you will see this one will go to the space. So you can see in the space you will find model 1. So M1. So here is the model 1. And then they will tell you how to use this one. So you can see here. So you can just like you can just copy this one. You copy this one, and for example, you want to know someone's you have a measure another person. For example, for me, my weight is around 80 and 178. So you can see my the prediction I should be, yeah, I'm male. So so this predictor is good. So you can use this one because already built already. So for example, you have other people's measurement. Also, you can do the similar. So that's how to use the classifier. So that's why that's here. So we continue the discussion about prioritization. So you have you have to design the fault detector. So that's the detector. You in the future, if you build another fall or non-fall, you need to use this one to tell. And also for exercise monitoring, also the same. So you can see when we marking you, we will based on your prioritization is like this, very similar. The first one you need to demonstrate. First is the MU, your understanding. For example, you identify X, Y axis and Z axis, how to identify, or what's the, because there's a video tell you what's the MU working. But you cannot do very long. So this one is give a very clear and concise description of your understanding. It's also why you learn this MU, because MU is very small size and very easy to apply in the health monitoring. So we have a fall detection and also have exercise monitoring. So that's important. The second one is very important. It's 30%. It's present design of the fall detection or access monitoring system, because we have you based on the requirements of each project description, and you can freely, I mean, just like give some detail, not necessarily be just I give to you what you have to do. You can do any way you want, just like if it is, you can explain the result. Even your maybe your detection rate, accuracy rate is low, but if you can explain well and find the reason, you also get good mark. That's the second part. It's very important. You need to do to explain what you design. For example, you use filter or not. Are you identify the XYZ axis or not? Have you what's the feature you select? What's the classification method you use? That's why you need to give the description. And another one is demonstration. For example, you demonstrate your classification result. You need to explain. For example, today we use a confusion matrix and we use a ROC curve to say, oh, this classifier is very good and the feature we select is good. So I think maybe we can talk about the feature selection because in the video, I think you can directly select the feature as well. So these are the others very general because the review team role and how well you are working together. So I believe that in the last 6 weeks you also do similar things, and the presentation skill 10%, and also length and pace, tone and voice, like you need to control the time and also don't too fast, don't too slow, and also the figures and the slides design and layout. And the question, I think maybe only 10%, but we give 5 minutes. So I think it's still important. Don't think 10% is not important. And also I remind you, you need to also submit the journal You need to maybe 1 week at least 1 to 2 items. You have learned. So now it's 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. I think we stop lecture today. But if you have any questions, you can ask me. You can send me a message to chat, and otherwise I will separate the room, and we will start to group discussion. I think Lee, hello Lee.
Yes, yes.
Probably you which you maybe you use you are doing fall detection, right, with one group. Yeah, I mean I will discuss with fall detection and access monitoring. Maybe I discuss with group 1 and 2. You discuss with group 3 first, and then we swap.
Okay.
Yep. And I now I separate the room. Maybe we start in 5 minutes. Maybe we start at 11 past 7. Do you have any questions, student? Hello? If you have no questions, I will separate the room. So